Hey guys, happy holidays! I know a lot of you are excited for this Christmas vacation. You probably have an upcoming trip out of the country, and I wanted to wish you guys a happy trip. But before then, I wanted to share with you my own travel experience just in these last 2 months. I recently took a trip to Fukuoka, Japan in October, and because of this discovery, I was able to actually save a lot of money, as much as 15% per transaction, and this would be through the use of my GCASH card in Japan. I've already shared this in a video a few weeks ago, but since the format of that video was a little different, it was sort of like a travel video, and let's face it, the travel videos on this channel don't get a lot of views. So I'm thinking that a lot of you might have actually missed it, and I wanted to do this video again with our regular talking format. Less visuals this time, less about travel, but really more about the cost savings that I was able to make. And no, this isn't sponsored, but GCash, if you want to send something my way, I don't mind. I'm comparing the GCash card versus my BDO and BPI credit cards. We already know that GCash card comes out on top, but exactly by how much, this is what we'll look to cover in this video. So enough of this intro, and let's go. But before anything, if you are new to this channel, hi, I'm Mark. It's nice to meet you. In this channel, I talk a little bit about lifestyle, but I mostly talk about business and investments. As mentioned, I'm comparing the GCash card to my BPI and BDO credit cards. We will be comparing them based on their currency foreign exchange rate. The numbers I've already shared in that previous video, so let me just add a little bit more on the benefits of using digital payments when you travel. So let's go through those first. The number one thing that I like when using digital payments altogether, may it be a credit card, debit card, or e-wallet, would be not having to exchange my Philippine pesos to a foreign currency. First, there are just so many forms that you need to fill out, especially when you are using our local banks to exchange your money. They ask for all sorts of documents and your plane tickets, so I don't really want to go through that hassle. But of course, you can also exchange your money in the airport and other Forex stores, but the exchange rate doesn't seem to be too friendly, and we'll go into that more later on. But the biggest benefit of using digital payments would be not having that extra cash that you want to finish up when you are ending your trip. I don't know about you, but there is also this pressure that when you are about to finish your trip, you have to finish your money because you never know when you're going to be back in that country again. So there's a tendency to want to finish up your cash when you exchange it. So this is the downside of not using digital payments. So that's for digital payments as a whole. Let's now move on to the issue of debit cards and e-wallets versus credit cards. One of the biggest risks of using a credit card when you travel, your card could be at risk in being used as a fraudulent transaction. And you might say that it's the same with a debit card. You are equally at risk. Well, the thing with credit cards is that the credit limits tend to be really high. The credit card company would tend to give you something more than what you already have in your bank account. So it could easily be 5 times, 10 times, or even so much more than what you have in your savings account. So when you use your credit card and fall victim to skimming or whatever scheme that these fraudsters do, your exposure is your entire credit limit. It can be a few 100,000 pesos. It can even be a few million pesos. So that's actually what's at risk. Case in point, this is a true story. Earlier this year in January, I took a quick trip to Guam, and when I got back, I got a message from BPI. Thank you for using your BPI card at SQ Mariposa, amounting to $3,350 US. It goes on to say, if you did not make this transaction, you can temporarily block your card, so on and so forth. Good thing I saw this right away and I reported it to BPI. When they called me, I told them that yes, I did come from abroad, but when this message was sent to me, I was already back here in Manila. So for me to be able to transact this high amount could not have been possible, could not have been me. So they quickly blocked the card. It was a painless process, but it's still alerting to get that notification that my card has been used. So again, those are the kinds of exposure that you face when you use your credit card. I didn't go through any hassle, but I know of some people wherein their card was used as a fraud and it dragged on for months. I'm glad this was done quite quickly. Again, even if I didn't have to pay for it, it's just a lot of hassle, a lot of peace of mind that you lose. So That's an advantage of using an e-wallet where you just put a little bit of your money at a time, which is what you can do with GCash, or a debit card. Let's say you put in 10,000 pesos in your GCash wallet every day. That would be the advantage of an e-wallet or a debit card linked to a savings account. Granted that you are not keeping all of your savings in that one savings account. So that's one thing you can do. You can put in 5,000 pesos per day, 10,000, 15,000, whatever your travel budget is. So when I'm using my GCash card or my other debit cards, I have peace of mind that in case the worst case scenario happens, my exposure will only be the amount that I have in that e-wallet or in that savings account. So those are the advantages of using digital payments and e-wallets or debit cards as a whole. Let's now move on to my trip. So let's take that trip back to Fukuoka. We arrived around 8 p.m. via Cebu Pacific, and my goal this day was to use my GCash card, my BPI credit card, and BDO credit card all in the same day so that I can give you guys a fair comparison on what the exchange rate would be. So we arrived in our hotel called Hotel Live Max in Nakasu, and while I already paid for the reservation through booking.com, I still owed the hotel local city taxes that Fukuoka does. So we were charged 2,400 yen. For this transaction, I used my GCash card. I was deducted 922 pesos and 51 centavos. So the amount charged in peso, you can immediately see in your app. This comes out to a conversion of 1 peso equals 2.60 yen. So that's the first transaction. We settled down, left our luggages. We were of course hungry for a late dinner, and we found one of the nearest restaurants near our place. So our total bill here was 5,750 yen. This came out to 2,274 pesos, which means that the conversion here would be 1 peso equals 2.52 yen. What I used here would be my BDO credit card. So the conversion is definitely less when compared to the GCash card. Let's move on to the third transaction. So after dinner, as a lot of you do when you go to Japan, you actually stop in the convenience store right before going back to the hotel for some snacks. We went to the nearest 7-Eleven and we spent 836 yen. The peso equivalent of this was 327 pesos and 28 centavos. So this comes out to a conversion of 1 peso equals 2.55 yen. And this time it was via my BPI credit card. So by the way, for BDO, I'm using a Platinum MasterCard, and for BPI, I'm using a Visa Signature card. So as these are the more premium cards, the exchange rates will actually be a little better. Since they are comparatively in the same tier, I think it's a fair comparison. So with GCash at 1 peso equals 2.60 yen and BDO at 2.52 yen, by using your GCash card versus your BDO credit card, that would be savings of over 3%. Not bad. For BPI at 1 peso equals 2.55 yen, those would be savings of nearly 2%. So I know that's not too big, but that goes a long way. So if you are spending a total of 100,000 for your trip, that's easily savings of 2,000 to 3,000 pesos. So definitely here, the GCash card comes out as the winner. But I also let you know earlier that you can save up to 15%. Let's backtrack again when we arrived into Fukuoka. So right before we exited the airport, I exchanged some of my Philippine pesos via the money exchange in the airport. There's actually an advice that you have to go to the third floor in the departure area because they actually give a better rate versus in the arrival area, which they actually do. But I didn't realize how bad the conversion was until after. When I exchanged my money, it was the first transaction that I did. I got my money exchange at the rate of 1 peso is to 2.21 yen. So that's actually a big difference from what you can get from using your GCash card. So 2.21 yen versus 2.60 yen, that's over 15%. I mean, that's really big. Again, if you are looking to spend 100,000 pesos, that's 15,000 pesos that you can easily save. So changing your money in the money changer, definitely not one of the best ideas. I have some bonus here. These happened no longer in the same day and happened later in the trip. As some of you know, in Japan, you actually have to use some cash as well. So that's why I still needed to stack up on some cash. In Fukuoka, the famous yatai stalls almost only take purely cash. I actually needed to withdraw a bit more money. I did so through a family mart, and of course, there is a fixed withdrawal rate of 200 pesos. So this came out to 1 peso equals 2.46 yen. So that's actually still a lot better than the money exchange at the airport. From the GCASH Card, now as the benchmark, the ATM withdrawal was just a little lower than 5.44%. Not bad. Actually, there are offers out there. From my understanding, I think GoTime actually gives good exchange rates when you withdraw through ATMs abroad. So that's something I have to verify myself. I haven't gone into it as much because I'm talking about digital payments here. I'll look into it and probably update you in a future video. Lastly, one more thing that I can include in this experiment. There are places that do use QR codes, so you can use your GCash app. And what I thought at first was that the GCash app and the GCash card probably might have the same exchange rates, but they actually differ. So using the Alipay feature on your GCash app, the exchange rate is 1 peso equals 2.55 yen. So this would be more similar to the performance of the BPI credit card. So out of all that, it's still really the GCash card that performs best. While this is again specific to Japan, I'm actually sharing this as a travel tip for wherever you're traveling. So this is definitely a handy card that you should be using in your travels. Again, this is not paid. I'm sorry if it sounds like it, but I actually just find the cost savings, the value that the GCash card is delivering as really helpful. Again, for whatever use, for more shopping, more experiences, or when you get back for more investments. So what do you think? Have you used your GCash card abroad? Has your experience been the same? If you've liked this video, please don't forget to like, comment, and consider subscribing if you haven't already. Thanks again for watching, guys, and happy trip, happy holidays.